Call a meeting to order, begin with adoption of the agenda. Any additions to the agenda?
No additions.
Motion to adopt?
I'll make a motion to adopt agenda as presented.
Okay, any discussion on that motion? All in favor? And 3 in the room. Patricia, in favor?
In favor, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we'll go to item 3.1, the minutes for the June 1st meeting. Do we have any errors or omissions in that one?
No errors or omissions.
Anyone
I'll
wish
make
to-
the motion on that one to accept the minutes as presented.
Perfect, thank you, Patricia. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor? Any opposed? Are you there?
She said in favor.
In favor? Okay, good, thank you. So that's passed, and I can't see anything again. We'll go to item 5.1, development application. And as soon as this loads, Mr. McKay.
Yeah,
you wanna
I
take
got
us
it
through
here.
this one?
Yep, so this is for development permit application 15034-2022. The applicant has recently purchased a 9.98 acre parcel with the legal description of Part Northeast 1762-7 west of the 5th. The application is for a discretionary use secondary suite in walkout basement of primary residence. The application is for converting the basement in the existing residence into a secondary suite. The proposed secondary suite has its own access from the walkout basement. Construction required in the basement will be wall, connecting door, and kitchen. The secondary suite will have the same square footage as the main upper floor. The parcel is zoned A2 Agriculture 2. A dwelling unit is a permitted use. Proposed secondary suite is a discretionary use. It was referred to our infrastructure department, who did not have concerns. The number of dwelling lots in a lot secondary suite. The development authority may issue a permit for a secondary suite if it meets these requirements, which it does. The secondary suite was advertised as a discretionary use for 2 weeks in the local newspapers and sent to adjacent landowners outlining the development permit, and no letters of concern were received. It is my recommendation that the Municipal Planning Commission approve development permit 15034-2022 for a secondary suite conversion of basement into existing residence with the following conditions.
Okay, just 1 second here.
Yeah.
You're on 15034.
Yeah, I was just flipping back and forth.
Our
We're
first
ahead of
item on
one.
the agenda is 15038, so I
Oh,
was gonna
sorry
stop
about
you and ask what
Oh,
the heck we were talking about.
that's why I'm flipping
It's like,
around
how
thinking,
did
what
this-
am I missing
How
here?
did, how did this mobile structure get converted into a basement suite?
Oh, sorry.
I knew which one it was, but I,
I didn't have.
well, because it's 34
Right,
versus
right.
38, right?
We'll just dig a hole and stack them up. I don't know.
It's easier that way.
Yeah,
My fault.
No, it's
No,
okay.
Well, she's got them out of order on the agenda.
Yeah,
that's why.
let's stick to the agenda.
Yes, okay, so go to the other one. My fault.
So Patricia, you got that? We're going back to the first item on the agenda, 15038-2022.
Brenda would have never let that slip.
I sure did, actually. I got the same thing.
All right, very good.
We need
Thank
Brenda
you.
back.
Yeah, where's Brenda? Okay, so this is development permit 15038-2022, correct? Okay. The applicant owns a 5.02 acre parcel with the legal description of Part Northeast 205912 west of the 5th. Plan 0024269, Block 1, Lot 1. The application is for a garden suite manufactured home. The parcel is zoned country residential CR, and a garden suite is a discretionary use. The applicant, where am I going with this? Anything else? Affidavits have been signed and included with the application. I didn't attach them because they didn't come in until
after.
like late Thursday, but I have them signed in my office.
Okay.
And besides that, it is within the flood fringe of the McLeod River. The design elevation for a 1 in 100 flood event is 705.89 meters. and they must be 0.5 meters above that, and that is outlined in the conditions. It was referred to our infrastructure department with no concerns with the garden suite use. It was also advertised in our local newspapers and letters sent to adjacent landowners, and there were no letters of concern received. It is my recommendation that the Municipal Planning Commission approve development permit 15038-2022 for the garden suite manufactured home with the following conditions. Do you want me to read those?
Just the flood ones would be the ones that I'd be curious about for myself.
Sure.
Does anyone else wish all the conditions read?
No.
I went through all the conditions and I have no issues based on the conditions as listed.
Okay. So just for condition 10, we have it here, dwelling, manufactured home, and septic system shall be verified by Alberta Land Surveyor to be an elevation of 0.5 meters above 705.89 meters above sea level, which is our 1 in 100 year floodplain, as determined by Alberta Environment. Copy of the ALS report to be provided to Woodlands County. And then just in number 11, no basement development, but this is garden suite, so that is not applicable.
Okay. What's the lot currently sitting at for elevation? How far are they gonna go?
It's not very far up.
Sorry if I may, Mr. Chair, the existing residence, the floor level of the existing residence, so it would be very similar to the location, because it's just immediately to the north. So essentially, whatever their pilings will make up for the elevation that they'll require, and the floor level will meet that 0.5 meters above.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I just want to ask, who's going to be in the garden suite? Because the applicant is the same as on.
The applicant will be in the garden suite, and then his family will be taking over the current dwelling.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I was gonna ask one other question on that garden suite thing. I thought we couldn't do the family thing anymore, under the law, did we not?
We have to, through the chair, Mr. Chair, we have to follow what the land use bylaw currently indicates.
Right.
We do have that on the list of amendments that we'll look at when we review the land use bylaw.
Okay. All right. Any other questions from members?
No, I think it's clear.
Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion to approve or deny.
I'll make a motion to approve as presented
With conditions.
with conditions.
Okay. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor?
Patricia in favor.
Thank you. That's everybody, so that is passed. So just for the record, since we're on tape here, development permit application 15038-2022 is passed. Okay? I had a slight
You guys are
one before
good.
the other in the schedule there, so
You guys can leave. Yeah.
congratulations. That's your guys?
That's us.
Okay, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
All right, let's go to 15034-2022.
Now we are back. Okay. The applicant has recently purchased, as I already said, a 9.98 acre parcel with the legal description of part northeast 1762-7 west of 5. The application is for a discretionary use secondary suite in walk basement of primary residence. The application is for converting the basement into the existing residence into a secondary suite. The proposed secondary suite has its own access from the walkout basement. Construction required in the basement will be a wall connecting door and kitchen. The secondary suite will be the same square footage as the upper main level. The parcel is zoned as A2 Agriculture 2 District, where the dwelling unit is permitted, and the proposed secondary suite is a discretionary use. The application was referred to infrastructure with no concerns, and meets all the following conditions, meets all the requirements of a secondary suite as listed there. The secondary suite was advertised as discretionary use for 2 weeks in the local newspaper, and letters were sent to adjacent landowners with no concerns received. It is my recommendation that the Municipal Planning Commission approve development permit 15034-2022 for a secondary suite conversion of basement into existing residence with the following conditions. Would you like me to read those? They're pretty simple.
I don't require the conditions read. Anyone else wish to read the conditions?
Thank you.
No?
No, I read them as well. I don't require either.
Okay, very good. Any questions to admin on this one?
I just want to say, can I move in there? That's one nice secondary suite.
Okay, there's no questions at all?
No, and I will make the motion to accept the permit for the secondary suite as described with conditions.
Okay, very good. So motion on the floor to accept with the conditions. Any discussion on that motion? I'll call the question. All in favor?
Patricia in favor.
And Patricia's in favor. That's everybody, so that item is passed. So development permit application 15034-2022 is passed. With that, we'll move on to item 6.1, and that will be RFD for subdivision application 2022 SUB 06.
Yes.
And Peter.
Yep, so the proposed subdivision application is to create one residential parcel approximately 7.36 acres plus or minus from a 118 acre parcel on part southeast 245812 west of the 5. The property is zoned as country residential, and the proposed parcel conforms to the requirements of subsection 3A and B, as the residential parcel meets the density provisions of the quarter section. This subdivision brings the density to 8 parcels. Every proposed subdivision must provide to each lot to be created direct access to a road or lawful means access satisfactory to the subdivision authority. There were some infrastructure comments on this approach, and the new approach will require a culvert and require the reshaping of the existing turnaround to allow correct shape and length of approach to landowners' expense and to county standards. The placement of the checkerboard sign will need to be relocated, warning of dead-end road. A variety of private on-site sewage disposal systems may be used, subject to on-site verification. The proposed parcel is under 10 acres and soil classification would be required. The application has pre-developed assessment on file prior to subdivision, and test pit 4 in the report identifies that the soil is not suitable for septic effluent without further site-specific testing at the time of development to determine appropriate methods to address the site requirements of the soil. As for the water table, testing is required as the proposed parcel is under 10 acres in size. A stormwater management plan is not required. The applicant has a pre-development assessment on file from the prior subdivision, and test pit 4 water table was not encountered, as it is assumed to be greater than 12 feet below groundwater surface. A water availability study will be required as the quarter section density is over 5 parcels. The applicant has pre-development assessment on file. The report advises that the site would produce a rate of at least 2 GPM for 4 more wells. The assessment would be required to be updated to ensure that the proposed lot would have sufficient water availability. There were no letters of concern received from adjacent landowners, and no concerns from any of the referral agencies listed here below. Alberta Environment comments, there were no concerns, would like to see the southern boundary of the parcel fenced to perfect a summer undulate area and to prevent clearing of crown land, as it appears to be the parcel to the east. The parcel to the east of this proposed parcel is owned by another landowner, so. That was untrue, is that what you're saying? Okay. It states that municipal reserve are to be collected and payable as of money in lieu of reserve land. The amount shall be equal to 10% of the appraised value of the parcel land to be subdivided. It is my recommendation that the Municipal Planning Commission consider approval of subdivision application 2022 SUB 06 in consideration for the following reasons. Would you like me to read those?
Not for myself.
No, I don't require it.
Okay, I think everybody's good.
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead,
I'll make a motion that the Municipal Planning Commission approve subdivision application 2022 SUB 06 with the recommended conditions.
okay. Any discussion on the motion? Nothing. Okay, I'll call the question. All in favor?
Patricia in favor.
Thank you, Patricia. Everyone had their hands up here, so that is approved as well.
Can I just ask a question about it?
Oh, of course.
It has nothing to do with the approval, but how many
Okay.
more parcels can they take off of that?
You can do 24 on a quarter section.
Okay, thank you.
I have another question as well.
Go ahead.
What entails a municipal reserve? What is that designed to do?
So the municipal reserves that we take in are put into essentially a fund for future park development
Okay,
within the area.
okay,
So yeah, so down the road, if, because there's been so much subdivision on that Range Road 120, if there was a parcel either dedicated or two, then monies could be used for equipment or something of that nature, but yeah,
okay.
it's for
And
park
you can
development.
take them in a couple of ways, right?
You can either take land, yeah,
Or
you can either
cash.
do land or cash, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Right, so you may, as the things develop, you may take a chunk of land and dump some cash into
Yeah.
developing a
Building a
park or something in that
Okay.
area as you go, so.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Excuse me. With that, we'll move on to information items. So it's got item 7.1 is a list of permits approved that are approved by the development officer that haven't come before us. Are there any questions on any of those?
No, I have read through them all and have no questions on the information items.
Okay. Anyone wish to make them go ahead?
I'll make a motion that the MPC adopt the information items permits approved by the development officer as information.
Thank you. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor?
Patricia in favor.
Thank you, Patricia. That takes us to, that's passed. That takes us to 7.2, which is a referral response on development permit application 22054 gravel pit 3410 Flats Road within the town of Whitecourt boundaries. Joan, are you going to present this one?
Sure, you betcha. So, as a result of annexation that happened in, I guess, 2019 and was finalized in 2020, where the town of Whitecourt took the golf course portion where their sewage treatment plant is, and then the quarter section to the east of that. So they're proposing to do a gravel pit on the quarter to the far east. We do have a country residential subdivision that is adjoining this parcel. So essentially, as part of the intermunicipal development plan, the town of Whitecourt refers any applications to us that require comment. So what they're doing is, the first proposal is to do gravel extraction and then future development of residential along the ponds that would result from the gravel extraction. So just wanting to bring it forward for your guys' information. Their Municipal Planning Commission will be reviewing the development application on July 14th, I believe. So just, like I say, just strictly brought it forward for your information. I've provided the town comments per attached there. Just some concerns from an environmental aspect based on applications that we've reviewed in the past through the county. And again, just a little uncertain as to the town's process. Generally, we get a lot of the environmental stuff up front with our applications, whereas this one didn't necessarily have a lot of that attached to it. So having to make some assumptions and just, I guess, providing some information to them in the event that they hadn't followed some of the guidelines that are required.
So questions to this, Councillor Prestige?
Yeah, have they not applied for their gravel pit permit yet?
No, I had spoke to Alberta Environment Parks, our local folks, started there, and they had indicated they hadn't seen any application. So then I spoke with the approvals person in Grand Prairie that looks after our area, and she had indicated as well that no, she had not seen a permit come through yet.
Go ahead, Councillor Cushing.
Just out of curiosity, this goes through, I mean, trucking gravel in and out, do we know, are they gonna be packing that through the town, or is that gonna be going down our roads and back around?
They have indicated that it is to be hauled essentially from that quarter to the south within the town boundaries. So just essentially kind of across the
So it
road.
shouldn't put strain on our infrastructure.
Yeah, and I did indicate what, like I forwarded it to our infrastructure department for comment, just if that aspect did happen to occur, if they were wanted to truck it around. And I've requested that there be a condition placed with respect to our road bans, because that one's at 50% during the summer months. And that, yeah, they get any road use agreements or whatever in place before any hauling occurred on our roads.
Councillor Prestige.
So if I understand it right, they're gonna truck the gravel across the road going to the south. Are they stockpiling it there, or just to make the lake?
My impression is that it'll be utilized for fill. So the area that is down where the St. Joseph School is, and the subdivision that would carry to the east is lower lying. And I don't know if anybody's been down there, but there is a fire hydrant that's fairly high up, and I think the base of that, so they'll need that fill for that purpose. So I think that's their intent, is to utilize that as fill for that other quarter section,
So it's not gonna be for gravel
not
crushing
for
and
sale.
stuff like that, it's
They
more
had
of a oil
indicated,
pit than a
yeah,
gravel pit.
that was indicated in the application, there would be no crushing. I still have concern because of just the activity with, you've got your gravel trucks, you've got your backup beepers. I mean, it can be a disturbance to the neighbors. I mean, we've received complaints over the years, where it's a little more, or not as populated, and we still get those calls. So again, that was one of my suggestions, was that perhaps they look at doing a noise monitoring program for those neighbors. One of the other things would be that depending on how deep they go, will it affect the aquifer that are people to the east, that if they have water wells or anything of that nature, it could affect those. So again, if a water well monitoring program perhaps be implemented too. So just suggestions that we've put forward to them that we would like to see as part of their approval process.
Okay, Councillor Prestige.
Like to go below the water table on the river, they're gonna need a water license, which is not easy to get.
Yeah. And again, the concern was the I guess when I reviewed it, they were looking at a 27-meter setback from the Athabasca River. And we had the application over by Fort Assiniboine, in which Laforge, if I may say, were required to do some significant engineering in order to keep that river from going into the pit and causing further issue, and to keep the pit out of the river, so to speak, right? And that's where they were requiring a 60-meter setback, but within that 60 meters was a road, a trail, and then these groins that go fairly deep down into the ground that would need to be constructed. So yeah, so they may want to re-review the setback that
Like
was
they have lots
suggested.
of work ahead of them.
Yeah,
So this is the part where I get to tell everybody I'm originally from Manitoba. And, there was the big joke about the guy from Winnipeg on the Survivor Series who sandbagged every time the tide came in on the island. I don't understand why we expect flood events to get worse. We expect rain events to get worse. Why do we continue to build and plan on building up, and it's floodplain land within 27 meters of a river? We've seen entire houses swallowed up by a single, high flow events. I mean, it's not our thing, but that would be the concern I have. And then protecting our residents on the infrastructure side. So once the pit's approved and it's open, if they decide that they want to haul to different places, we would just have to enter into road use agreements.
That's correct.
Because once the pit's open, I mean, they can haul anywhere, and we can't stop them from hauling. So, and is that, like, I know that Flats Road is not. It's not really suited for heavy weights. We've had a lot of. How big is this pit going to be? How much?
The area in question was about 27 hectares, so what is that, 40
50
or
acres.
50 some acres? That would be, I guess, utilized entirely for a pit, and then those two in-pit lakes with development, I believe, in between, if I recall what the diagram showed.
Okay. And just
I know, oh, sorry.
go ahead, Patricia.
Actually, all I was gonna say is I completely echo everything that John just said, and feel the same way, and would also add that I also don't think the residents down there that I seem to see complaining about the sewer treatment plant and the smells from there are gonna wanna deal with the fallout of a gravel pit in their backyard. Like, it kind of blows my mind that that's the development that they want to put in there.
Okay.
But again, it's not our thing, so following up with the road use agreements and making sure we can protect the integrity of Flats Road, I guess, is what we do after.
Right. Okay.
Just a question. So you're saying the setback is 27 meters for the gravel pit to start? Did I miss?
Yes.
So then the residents are gonna be closer than 27 meters from the riverbank?
Those would be potentially trails.
Oh,
between the
trails,
river-
and then they
yeah,
would
and
build
then
on
the
either
development would be more further.
the north, or the south, east and
South.
west?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think,
I'll go with Peter first. Go ahead, Peter.
well, first of all, I guess this is what White Court wants to do. I guess the question that I would have is, what is the elevation between the high water and the river and that location? That would be my first question. And then the second one would be, I guess if this is their land and they choose to develop it in this way, if we remember High River and all of those other locations, what is that impact to us? Like, how would we be impacted other than the road use agreement? I would be curious to see what that study would show.
And I think that the concerns that you've, Joan, have mentioned was the water well stability, the aquifer study.
So the water well situation, and just in conversation with one of the Alberta Environment and Parks people, what they'd indicated too is that if that river happened to breach, it could generally impact the parcels to the east and to the west. So, and we have residents on the east there that may or may not be impacted by a breach of that river.
See, and that was one of the, I'm sorry.
That's
go
all right.
ahead.
Is that more just a courtesy that they're letting us know? Like, there's nothing we can really do about this, other than put a couple
Yeah, through the
requirements in place?
intermunicipal development plan, yeah, we provide comments back and forth. So often you'll see that we've referred one of our applications to them because it's within that IDP area.
Yep.
Right, and they'll provide suggestions to us, and if there's things that, meet our requirements too, then we'll add those conditions too.
Right.
So much the same as I've provided them with some suggestions as
concerns,
to
right.
what I would like to see as conditions for the approval of it, yeah.
Councilor
Thank
President.
you.
My concern is they need to do this borrow pit to bring the grade up across the road to do a development. So they're gonna have to do another borrow pit to bring the grade up around the lake.
Actually, if you look at the flood study, there are areas that are outside of the floodplain. But yeah, I guess that would be a thought as well. And that's where some more engineering maybe. And like I say, I know that when we get an application in, we have that engineering attached to the application before I bring it forward to well, in general, it's the Pride Valley Committee. And we try to work in conjunction with Alberta Environment and River Engineering to ensure that, the applications are kind of running parallel to one another. Nothing wrong with what they're doing, I guess, other than, they'll have an approval that may possibly require some amendment depending upon what any engineering studies might entail.
I think the cart is way in front of the horse.
Well, it's not our cart and it's not our horse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure that our residents are looked after and I remember when you were talking about, I'm sure it was High River, but they were talking about the one area there that had flooded and they never anticipated that particular area was gonna flood, so when everything recessed, they were left with having to pump out of that one area because it had never seen that water before and they'd kind of cut off any drainage from it. So are we gonna wind up in any kind of situation like that in the county, or could we? That would be my big concern if we wind up with a river breach. Because you can lose an awful lot of riverbank in a very short period of time. I know we're already dealing with that one, what is that road that's, the Cutbanks Road?
Cutbanks Road, yeah.
Yeah, that is, I mean, since I got here, there used to be a shoulder to that road and now there's barriers to keep you from falling into the river, so.
And that was one of the items too, because the original title indicated there were roughly 45 acres on that northwest portion, and over the last 111 years, they've lost, roughly 20 acres of that, because it's down to about 25 acres, right? So I mean, if you look at, and with the 27 meters, roughly in 50 years' time, if nothing was done, it could potentially breach it, but
And controlling water flow is very expensive, so.
yes.
Okay, so you've raised all these issues, I think we've
Yes,
captured
yep.
everything? Do you need a motion for those or anything, or you're
Just
just?
to accept as information. I was just bringing it forward just to
Okay.
let you guys know that there's a potential for a pit there, and just the fact that we do have residents immediately adjacent to the proposal.
Okay, well, thanks for making us aware. Are there any other questions on it? Patricia?
No, that's everything I had.
Okay, very good. I'll accept the motion to accept for, is that all our information? Yeah, that would be, so I'll accept the motion to, go ahead, Councillor Colkin.
I'll make the motion to accept information in 7.2 as information.
Thank you. Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Patricia in favor.
Thank you, Patricia. Okay, that's carried. We have nothing for item 8, nothing for item 9. We'll get our update on our next,
Yeah, I currently don't have any development permits that would be discretionary applied for yet, so I have no meeting set at this point.
Okay, just one comment on our last meeting invite. For some reason or another, my calendar invite showed up at 4:30.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna try to change that, because we did it all through booking the room through Outlook, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna change the meeting will be booked, but we'll make another invite that send to everybody that starts at 5 when the meeting starts.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, just to avoid any confusion in the future. So no new business. The next meeting we'll get onto it and motion for adjournment.
Make that motion to adjourn.
Okay, no discussion on a motion to adjourn. All in favor? Trish is in favor, we are adjourned. Thanks very much, everybody.